92.1 WVTK presents our local spotlight feature. Here's your host, Amanda Leigh.
And welcome again to Local Spotlight. I'm Amanda Leigh, and this is where we feature all kinds of great local folks from all over Addison County and beyond to talk about, well, things around Addison County. And today we welcome Bruce Zeman. This is kind of an interesting flip around being on the other side of the mic.
Yeah, it is, and I'm not exactly sure I like it, but you've got control of all the buttons and everything. So.
I know, you're in the guest chair. How
I know, I don't
awkward
like that.
is that?
No, not too bad.
No, we're actually here to talk about Middlebury hockey, both men's and women's teams. First, the men's game, it was a big weekend for both teams. And for the men's team, the middle of the season, it wasn't looking so well for them. What do you think caused them to do a complete turnaround and make it to the championships?
You know what, Amanda? I followed the team all season long, and they really had a turnaround. It was funny. I said on the air yesterday, the first 6 and last 6 games of the season, they were 9-1-1, and in the middle they had a run. I think they were 3-7-2. And I think just at that point in maybe the beginning of January, early February, the senior leadership on the team just stepped up and said, listen, if we want to make a run of this season, we need to put something together now, and they really did. And
they played incredibly well. I was listening to the games all weekend long, and they played amazingly. Now, the first game in the finals, Panthers versus the Bowdoin Polar Bears, they played amazing against them, and just, well, how can I say it? They crushed them. But against Amherst, it didn't go so well. What do you think the Panthers could have done, if anything at all, different to bring home that win?
Well, I think you hit it right on the head. They beat the Panthers finished the NESCAC season in third place, and both Amherst and Bowdoin finished ahead of them. But again, that's why you have the playoffs. You play the playoffs to see who's going to stick it out and the stick-to-itiveness, I guess you can say. On Saturday, the Panthers played a terrific game. On paper, Bowdoin should have won that game, but Bowdoin unfortunately played a very undisciplined game. Their goaltender did not play well, and Middlebury came out. They came out firing. They had a 4-goal explosion in the second period, and they wound up winning that game 6-3. Again, Bowdoin taking some just terrible penalties in that game. And the Middlebury team, which is a well-coached team, they've got a lot of senior leadership on that team, they capitalized. Now, the Amherst game, what could they have done differently? I'm not really sure there was anything. They've got a freshman goaltender at net, Dan Fulham, who had admittedly a shaky couple of starts when he started earlier in the season. He was kind of put on the hot seat, an injury to John Janchek, and he came in, and the first 2 games he has to play against Norwich and Bowdoin, 2 5-0 shutouts, a little shaky, but then he just was on fire down the stretch. I think 6-0-1. And the team just developed confidence in him. And listen, Amherst is no slouch. 17-1 in the NESCAC, 20-3. The only team to beat Amherst this season was Bowdoin. So I thought it boded pretty well for the Panthers yesterday. And again, the Amherst Lord Jeffs came out and they kept shooting, and they got a couple of bounces, kind of like Middlebury did on Saturday. But I don't think the Panthers really could have done anything differently. It was just you get a couple of bounces, and we'll talk about the one save yesterday in the Amherst game in just a few minutes.
Now, they played incredibly well, and I think no matter what, they did all that they could. And Amherst was a really tough team. I mean, you played sports, I played sports. So there's always that one team through that schedule where you go, oh no, I don't want to do this game, because you have a gut feeling it's going to be tough. You don't know if it's going to go either way, because your mental game has got to be there. But it's scary to step out on the ice or the court or wherever you're going to go and go, I'm a little scared about this. Now, as far as the Lady Panthers go, the men didn't walk away with a plaque, but they did. They won their 7th NESCAC championship, and I was just going over some of the recap in the final 5 minutes of the period. I mean, this is just listening to this is absolutely phenomenal. Lauren Greer's and Grace Waters had some excellent shots, ended up being clangers off the goalpost, and it was actually Lauren Greer who scored the game winner in overtime, 1-0 victory over Amherst. That's incredible. And first of all, what is with Amherst? Are they just tough all the way around?
No, they're a well-coached team. Both the men's and women's teams are well-coached. They're a disciplined team. Neither the men's or the women's teams are one of those teams that take a lot of penalties. And again, you hit it right on the head. The Middlebury Panthers women's team winning their 7th NESCAC championship. And Amanda, one of the things that's interesting is this was the 4th NESCAC championship meeting between these two schools. Amherst won back in overtime in 2007. Middlebury winning the game in 2009 in overtime, and last year Middlebury winning again 4-3 last year. But, you talk about Lauren Greer. Her game winner came as she skated into the zone, and she let a blast go. It was a blast that was partially saved by the Lord Jeff's goaltender Murphy. The puck just dropped to the ice, and it was one of those agonizing trickles. Agonizingly good if you're the Panthers, and agonizingly bad if you're the Lord Jeffs.
And you're just watching it all in slow motion going, this is not happening. And if you're Amherst anyway.
I mean, as a former defenseman, that is absolutely the worst feeling in the world if you're the one that's being scored on and you just see it roll across the line. But again, Lauren Greer, I mean, she's a terrific player. And by the way, that goal that she scored in overtime, her team leading 13th of the season. And what a big win for the Lady Panthers.
All the teams played incredibly well this weekend. The way to go for the Panthers. One team came out on top. The other one came out second in the NESCAC championship. And that's something to be proud of. That's something to look back on and go, wow, we did that. That's incredible. And it sounds like from, some of these stats, me being new to the area and just starting to jump into Panther hockey, is that this rivalry between them and Amherst is almost like a, Bruins Canadians thing it's starting out to be. Now, what's next for the Panthers in the fall? They're losing a lot of seniors in both the men's and the women's teams. Do you think it'll be a tough rebuilding season this fall?
I really don't. I know the Panthers are losing about 8 seniors. Some of the big names, Charlie Strauss, Charlie Nurbach, Martin Drolet, Michael Griffin, Tucker Donahoe, Tommy Cantwell, Nick Resor, and also goaltender John Janchek. A lot of senior leadership on this team, but make no mistake about it, the Middlebury Panthers men's team is a well-coached team. Coach Bill Beanie, who I have a tremendous amount of respect for, he's got 8 national championships. And what that means to people that know hockey is that he knows how to build teams, and some of the underclassmen are going to have to step up.
And on the women's side, they're losing a handful of seniors as well. There's forgive me, ladies, if I butcher your name. I've yet to talk with you, ladies. Maria Bordeaux and Grace Waters, Maggie Melbourne, Jamie Harsides, and also Mackenzie Stevens, along with Becca Shaw. So we got a big rebuilding, just a little bit. They got a solid foundation to start with at the very least, but some big shoes or big skates to fill.
And again, just taking one step back to the men's game, Amanda, I've been following hockey for 38 years, and the save, if the folks that listened to the game yesterday, Jim LeBurge and I were right behind the Amherst net, and the goaltender for the Lord Jeffs, Jonathan LaRose, is the number 1 goaltender in the nation in Division III. His record, 17-1. His career record is 40-4. He made, arguably, in my opinion, the best save that I've ever seen in college hockey to preserve the tie yesterday. And again, you've got to tip your hat off to him. I mean, great players make saves like this. And, you met some of the Middlebury players yesterday, last night.
I did, actually.
And you know what? Every one of those players are a class act. They have nothing to hang their heads on. They played one heck of a season. And again, I was proud to call a lot of their games this season because, every one of those kids played their heart out. And you know what? When you play your heart out, there really is no loser.
They played really well, and looking forward to next season. Bruce, kind of a strange interview today, you being on the other side in the guest chair, but thanks for coming on the show to talk Middlebury Panther hockey.
Thanks for having me.
Now, if you want some more details about, everything going on in local sports, all the info's right on our website, maybe even a sneak peek as to what's coming up for next season for the Panthers. Click the link to the local sports at 921WVTK.com. If you want to learn a little bit more about the local spotlight, maybe you'd like to be on the show, there's also details there at 921WVTK.com. Just click on the local spotlight. All my contact info's right up there. The WVTK Weather Center forecast and the Go Green Ride at 5 are both still ahead.
Would you like to be part of Amanda Leigh's Local Spotlight? Get the scoop and learn how right now at 921WVTK.com.